Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're embarking on a really fascinating exploration into a topic that sparks curiosity in pretty much everyone. Wealth. Is it simply a matter of luck, or maybe being born into the right family? We're diving into some really insightful material today from The Unspoken Habits of the Truly Wealthy, a source that suggests, well, a fundamentally different answer. Our mission for you today is to kind of cut through the common misconceptions, uncover the surprising habits and mindsets that truly distinguish those who build sustainable wealth. Hopefully give you a shortcut to understanding these deeper principles at play. Okay, let's dive right in. So right off the bat, our source challenges that common idea, that narrative that wealth is just about, winning the lottery or having a huge inheritance. Instead, it really argues that sustainable wealth comes from very specific, cultivatable habits and mindsets.
Right. And what's truly fascinating here is the radical shift in perspective it demands. I mean, it's not about what you currently possess,
Yeah.
right? It's much more about how you think and, critically, how you act. The truly wealthy, according to this source, they don't just sit around waiting for ideal external conditions to, magically appear. They actively, almost instinctively, cultivate an internal environment, a mindset, an emotional framework that lets them create success, pretty much regardless of what's happening around them.
That makes a lot of sense. I think so many of us are kind of conditioned to believe we need a certain amount of capital, a big nest egg or a major investment, before we can even begin to build something significant. But this material just turns that idea completely on its head. It suggests the very first investment isn't financial at all. So if it's not capital, what is the starting point for these truly wealthy individuals?
It's all about mindset. Fundamentally, they view the world not through that lens of scarcity or obstacles, but through an unwavering focus on opportunities.
Opportunities. No.
So when faced with a lack of money, for example, they don't despair. They immediately pivot. They think, who has the money and what problem can I solve for them to create that value, to get that money? If knowledge is missing, well, they become relentless learners. They just go get it.
Right.
If they lack connections, they actively build networks. They don't just wish they knew people. The key takeaway from the source, really, is their absolute refusal to use what they don't have as an excuse. It's just not in their vocabulary. And this self-investment in learning, developing skills, creating new perspectives, that's presented as the single biggest and most impactful investment they make, because they believe that knowledge and abilities will ultimately generate far more money than money alone ever could.
It's fascinating how deeply ingrained some of our beliefs about money can be, like these hidden programs running in the background. Things we've heard since childhood, money's the root of all evil, or that idea that rich people must have cheated others somehow. How does the source suggest these quiet assumptions actually impact our ability to even start building wealth?
Well, this raises a really important question because these negative, often subconscious beliefs act as powerful mental limitations, like brakes you don't know you're pressing. If you truly believe deep down that money is inherently bad or dirty, you'll subconsciously sabotage any efforts to acquire it. It's almost guaranteed.
Sabotage.
Yeah. So the source details how wealthy individuals consciously identify these limiting beliefs. They do a kind of mental audit, you could say. Then they actively replace them with empowering counterbeliefs. They choose to view money not as an end in itself, but as a neutral tool. A powerful resource, yes, but a tool to create value for society, to generate jobs, maybe help others. They seem to hold this core conviction that the more money they have, the more good they can potentially do in the world. So changing these negative beliefs to positive, empowering ones, that's presented as a crucial first step, absolutely essential to ensure we don't inadvertently self-sabotage our own wealth creation.
Okay, so mindset first, then tackle those underlying beliefs. Now, what about failure? Most of us are taught to fear failure, right? To avoid risk at all costs. But the material we're looking at today, it paints a very different picture of how the wealthy approach this. It suggests they see failure not as a roadblock, but as an indispensable part of learning.
Exactly. Indispensable is the right word. They aren't paralyzed by the prospect of trying and making mistakes. Not at all. Because every single failure provides invaluable new information. It's feedback. It's data that helps them refine their approach and succeed next time.
So it's like fuel, almost.
In a way, yes. The source points out that many truly wealthy people have failed, often spectacularly, multiple times before achieving great success. We only see the end point usually. The crucial difference, it seems, lies in their ability to quickly accept the outcome, extract the lessons like, what did I learn here, and then get back up and pivot. They don't let a setback erode their confidence or derail their long-term vision. They just adjust and keep going.
That resilience in the face of failure is absolutely crucial, especially because, as you mentioned, our source highlights how often wealthy individuals aren't just lucky. They've often faced immense setbacks, bankruptcy, betrayal, bad investments. It's a common misconception that their success is just a roll of the dice. So, if it's not random luck, how do they translate those setbacks into something productive?
Well, what truly sets them apart, according to this, is their extraordinary ability to recover. That and their sheer determination. They don't wait for luck to strike. They actively create their own luck. And they do it through this powerful, almost like a secret formula the source lays out. Preparation plus opportunity, luck.
Preparation plus opportunity equals luck.
Yeah. And this preparation isn't just, vaguely working hard. The source details it as proactive skill acquisition, learning things before they need them, strategic networking with specific intent, building relationships that might be valuable later, and constantly analyzing market shifts, just being aware.
Paying attention.
Exactly. So when that opportunity appears, which it inevitably will if you're prepared, it's not random. It's the convergence of their specific targeted readiness with an opening. It makes them uniquely positioned to seize it, while others might just see it pass by.
This idea that luck is manufactured through preparation is, yeah, that's a powerful one. It begs the question, though, if they're so prepared, what's their approach to actually starting something? Particularly when the conditions aren't perfect. Because the source really zeroes in on what it calls the biggest trap for many of us.
Yeah.
Waiting for everything to align perfectly before we take that first step.
No, it's a huge trap, and it's a powerful one because it feels safe, right?
Right.
Waiting. But the truth, as the source states very clearly, is that there's never a time when everything will be perfectly ready. That time just doesn't exist.
Right. Life isn't like that.
Exactly. So wealthy people operate on this really pragmatic principle. Start with what you have, do what you can, begin where you are. Right now. They don't wait for millions in capital or that master's degree or 10 years of experience they think they need. They understand that action, even small, imperfect action, generates momentum. It generates insights you couldn't get just by thinking. Starting small and continuously iterating, improving as you go, that's presented as a far, far more effective approach than waiting. Precisely because good opportunities are dynamic, they're fleeting. They can pass you by if you're stuck in perpetual preparation mode.
Okay, so don't wait, just start. We often talk about the fear of failure, which is certainly a powerful force holding people back. But this material introduces another fear, one that sounds, well, perhaps stranger. The fear of success. It sounds almost counterintuitive, doesn't it? Does the source delve into how this fear manifests, maybe preventing even small steps forward?
It does, and it's surprisingly common. It sounds odd, but think about it. This fear often stems from a deep-seated apprehension of the unknown, like fear of losing their current identity, maybe facing increased scrutiny or judgment from others, or just feeling overwhelmed by the heavier responsibilities that often come with greater achievement.
The responsibility part.
Exactly. The source even gives examples of individuals subconsciously self-sabotaging projects right when they're on the cusp of a breakthrough. Why? Because that new level of responsibility felt too daunting, too scary. What's crucial here, though, is that wealthy people learn how to manage fear. They don't eliminate it. You can't. It's a natural human emotion.
Right.
They just don't let it sit in the driver's seat and control their decisions. And an important technique the source mentions is to actively confront the fear. Ask yourself, okay, what's the absolute worst thing that could realistically happen here, and can we actually handle it if it does? Just thinking through those potential problems, identifying possible solutions, and recognizing your own resilience that can significantly diminish fear's power over you.
That's a powerful idea, managing fear rather than trying to just eradicate it. And it leads us nicely into another redefinition from our source, one that might challenge what many of us consider wealthy. It's clearly not just about the amount of money in the bank, is it?
No, not at all. Not according to this perspective. True wealth, as defined here, goes far beyond a bank balance, miles beyond. It's defined by having the freedom to choose your path, having ample time for family, for personal passions, enjoying robust health, and, crucially, finding genuine happiness and meaning in what you do every day.
So money is part of it, but not the whole picture.
Exactly. It highlights a really common pitfall. Many people are technically rich in monetary terms, but they're deeply unhappy. Why? Because they've inadvertently traded their health or their time with loved ones or their important relationships for that accumulation of money. It was a bad trade. Truly wealthy individuals, by contrast, seem to consciously create a balance between making money and truly living life. And often they achieve this through the strategic development of passive income streams, things that provide financial independence and free up their time, allowing them to dedicate energy to what they love and to live meaningfully.
Building on that exact point, the source really emphasizes that having money but no choices. Well, that isn't true wealth at all.
Absolutely. It hammers this home. Real wealth is having the fundamental freedom to make decisions about your own life without constraint. That's the core. It means not having to do work you hate just for a paycheck, not having to stay in places you don't like, not having to live according to what others dictate or expect. Freedom, choices. Wealthy people systematically create structures and systems that give them more choices. This could be through cultivating multiple income streams, like we mentioned, or making smart investments in assets that provide ongoing returns, or even developing diverse and highly valuable skills that give them leverage. At the end of the day, the more choices you cultivate for yourself, the more power you have to truly negotiate with life on your own terms.
That's a great way to put it, negotiate with life. Which kind of leads to the final point I wanted to unpack. In this age of social media, comparison is just everywhere. It's rampant. And it often leads to dissatisfaction, that feeling of falling behind constantly. But our source says wealthy people have a strikingly different principle when it comes to measuring their own progress.
Yes, and this is such a crucial one, especially today, for personal well-being and just sustained growth. Instead of constantly looking outward, comparing themselves to others, they look inward and backward. They compare themselves only to their past selves.
Yesterday's you.
Exactly. Their core questions are things like, am I better today than I was yesterday? Did I learn something new today? Did I make tangible progress toward my goals today? Notice the focus is internal. This internal focus, this comparison to your past self, it fosters genuine happiness with your own growth trajectory. It prevents that destructive discouragement that comes from constantly comparing your behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's highlight reel online.
Yeah, that's a killer.
It really is. And crucially, this internal comparison motivates continuous self-directed development. It's all about personal mastery, achieving your potential, not about external validation or keeping up with the Joneses.
So wrapping this up, what we've really uncovered today from the unspoken habits of the truly wealthy is, well, it's a profound shift in how we might think about prosperity, isn't it? True wealth isn't just a matter of random chance or predetermined circumstances. It seems deeply rooted in a set of distinct, actionable habits and mindsets.
Exactly. It really boils down to consciously changing your core beliefs about money. Embracing failure not as an end, but as a powerful teacher, as data. Taking action without waiting for some elusive, perfect moment that never arrives. Redefining wealth itself as the ultimate freedom of choice in your life. And maybe most importantly, focusing on your own daily incremental progress rather than getting caught in that endless damaging trap of external comparisons.
Right. These principles aren't just about accumulating numbers in a bank account, are they? They're about cultivating a sustainable quality of life, a deep sense of purpose, and hopefully genuine happiness. So for you, our listener, here's maybe a thought to ponder as you go about your week. Which of these unspoken habits that we talked about today resonates most deeply with you right now? And maybe what small intentional step could you take this week, just one thing, to begin applying it, to start moving you closer to true wealth, a wealth measured not just by money, but by the richness of your life and the boundless freedom of your choices?